Welcome back to HLN and our continuing coverage of the Derek Chauvin trial. More pivotal testimony, day 7 here. And we were just listening to a use of force expert, Jody Steiger, and he was talking about whether or not the officer's actions were reasonable. And he said at first, yes, that when George Floyd is somewhat resisting, to get him onto the ground, reasonable. But then from his expert vantage point, it was time to de-escalate. They had George Floyd under control. Again, he was just beginning his testimony. He'll pick up again tomorrow. With that, let's bring in our expert panel. They are the best in the business. Let's reintroduce them. Our expert legal analyst, great criminal defense attorney, Joey Jackson's with us. HLN legal analyst Ariva Martin joins us as well, as does Jacksonville State professor and death investigator Joseph Scott Morgan. Misty Maris is with us. Darren Porcher, our law enforcement expert. Gene Casares, trial correspondent and an attorney as well. And we welcome in Vinoo Varghese, a defense attorney as well. So we welcome in everybody. Vinoo, you're new to the panel here, so give us your thoughts on day 7 and give us a grand view. Better day for the defense or prosecutors?
I think it was a good day for the defense with the testimony of Nicole McKenzie, who was a EMT and a police officer. I mean, she's the state's witness. And there were objections by the prosecution during her testimony. In fact, one completely bizarre objection as saying that the defense was asking leading questions during cross. I mean, this was just stunning, and it was overruled, but it's a bizarre objection for the state to make. He scored points there. He got her to admit that it was a chaotic scene and a lot of different things could have happened. And then when she started talking about the anti-fentanyl drug, and getting into that, there were sidebars, and now she's going to be called as a witness for the defense. So this is a really interesting turn of events for Mr. Nelson and Chauvin's team.
Got it. Vinoo, again, welcome. Joey Jackson, that is a point you made concerning Nicole McKenzie, that surprisingly she became a defense witness, where Eric Nelson's like, I think I'm going to call you back during my case.
Yeah, best day for the defense so far. The question is it good enough? And so just backing up, you know, in trials you have to be strategic about it, and I think the prosecution has been making its case and making it very powerfully, right? We're here now speaking about the use of force issue, very compelling. Prosecution taking it to the defense early on, right? Really recap, 27 years on the force. Other day, right, where you have a sergeant come in and say, this is not good, under control, let him go. You talk about Zimmerman, he comes in, 40 years, senior most officer, not good, under control, let him go. You have the chief, we're about sanctity of life, we're about protecting the public, we're about really our values are protecting the community, all very compelling. And then, of course, we move forward. All of that, Mike, you got the implication and you got the testimony that, yes, when someone's in distress, you have an obligation to provide medical care. You don't need another witness to give that to the jury. They could infer that. They know that. They were told that. And so what does the prosecution do? They bring in a witness who is exploited now, right, by the defense to give all kind of information about what about the crowd? And are you concerned about the crowd? If the crowd represents a danger, then what do? Yeah, crowd could be very powerful. And what about the fact that somebody can get out of this state of unconsciousness and become Superman and attack somebody? Yeah, you know what? That's true too. And so she gave too much. So the question is whether or not she should have been called in the first instance. I will say, though, and I'll end here, you know, yes, it was a good day for the defense, but at the end of the day, the defense is in this box where they have to justify Chauvin's behavior. Really, Mike, can that behavior be justified? And I think you can make the argument that initially the use of force was proper and appropriate, but it's this idea of reassessment and reevaluation, and that's problematic. Yes, initially you may say that the force was okay, but there comes a time where enough is enough and you stop. That didn't happen. This witness, who we'll hear again from tomorrow, has done 2,500 reviews. He evaluates uses of forces. He determines the propriety of them, the fairness, the reasonableness of them, and he's going to say this just was not reasonable. There came a point in time where they should have stopped. They did not stop. Chauvin did not stop, and that, the prosecution will say, constitutes a crime.
Let's get back to the placement of the knee. Vinoo Varghese joins us now again. You're a defense attorney. You defend police officers. Is that a huge point from where you sit to that knee maybe have not have been on the neck the whole time?
I think it's one point in a number of points that the defense is going to use, and I have to disagree with my friend and colleague there, Joey, a little bit here, is that you have a situation here what the defense is doing, and I agree with it. It's a little bobbing and weaving, taking shots. But what he's doing is planting the seeds of doubt. You had a situation here today with Nicole McKenzie where it appears that she was being a defense witness. And you have her saying all these positive things here. And then you have the prosecution objecting to her testimony that they opened the door to. And why the judge did not allow this to continue. I mean, I understand that the defense wants to call her back, but this was an important moment for the defense. And when we talk about this, look, the official coroner reports that he died of asphyxiation. He died of cardiopulmonary arrest. That's the initial medical report there. So when you look at that, of course, they did rule it a homicide, but when you look at that, when you get this medical testimony in, Chauvin's got a shot. He's got a pulse here. I mean, there's an argument that they're going to be making, the defense is going to be making, that with all these police officers coming in saying what they're saying, they're here to protect the reputation of the Minneapolis Police Department, which has been shredded. And so they're making Chauvin the scapegoat. In fact, the whole world, the whole country, the state of Minnesota has made Chauvin the scapegoat for these riots. I mean, these riots that occurred with 3 months of lockdowns and people looking for something to do when this happened. And that's what caused the riots after George Floyd. If people weren't locked down for 3 months, you wouldn't have had the severity of these riots. So all of this is arguments that he's going to be making and bringing it back to the point of reasonable doubt. Hey, were there drugs in the system? Could that have caused his death? When we talk about reasonableness, in light of the crowds, in light of what was going on, a chaotic situation, and a guy that was resisting, I mean, he was yelling mama in the car. I mean, before they brought him out. So when you have all of these factors, ultimately you're going to tie it together, and hopefully this is what Nelson will do. I mean, as a defense attorney, I'm looking at him. I am a former prosecutor, but I'm looking at him and watching him and seeing, hey, how's he doing? Is he starting to plug holes? And today was his best day.
Here's the problem. The problem is that when you talk about the issue of scapegoating, you're suggesting or otherwise implying that, you know what he did potentially was not so bad. The only scapegoat here is Chauvin himself.
I didn't say that, Joey.
Because of the fact, no, I know, but you said they were scapegoating and not attacking. You were having a friendly legal debate with another fellow co-counsel, all right? The fact is that when you go after and you say that the Minneapolis Police Department is scapegoating, he scapegoated himself. His conduct was abhorrent and deplorable, and everybody there is not protecting him. You would expect,
I think when you look at it here, under the circumstances, Joey, you have a situation. I mean, look, this is all of us playing Monday morning quarterback or Tuesday morning. I think they were fired on a Monday. I mean, this is all of us playing. You got to look at the situation. 9 minutes and 30 seconds is not that long a period of time when you consider the entire circumstances of what was going on and the craziness of the situation. We weren't there. We see
that
the
I have to
forming.
pull it back.
You have that paramedic testifying, saying that she was there yelling at him, but she wasn't in uniform the day of the incident. So I think the defense has some stuff to work with here.
Absolutely. And presenting great points for our viewers. I mean, these are what viewers are doing as we watch this. Who's making the better arguments? I think you guys agreeing the defense had a pretty good day. I want to take a step